Okay. Not quite what I thought that was gonna do. I don't know how to share this damn stream right now. Oh, the share button. Who would have guessed it? Alright, I know how to social media. It's fine. I've got my life together. Clear this out. Just gonna share this online. I don't know how to. What? What am I getting warnings for? Alrighty. Cool, so I think I've got the thing running. I've got no idea what resolution this thing's coming in at, and we're going to give it a go. So let's see if I've got control of my OBS here. I do. Okay. So I'm just making a plugin here that the goal is going to be to, I'm just going to end up writing it up on the screen, but the point is going to be able to make a symmetrical group out of a, what's the best way to put this? Out of a group that was more easily thought up just by lassoing in a layout. Goddamn, words. Just a heads up, when I am thinking code, I'm not thinking words very well, so this might be fairly silent as we go. But, alright, we'll see if that makes any sense, and also I need to check real quick that is at least vaguely readable. We're gonna go with it. Alright. Start with that. Alright, so first thing I'm going to be looking at doing here, well, one is going to be to load a show file that I've actually got some reference on. So let's see, I've got one from Bonnaroo a few years ago in here somewhere. Super excited for the 3 having the whole search functionality in here because this is kind of a pain. Alright. Alright, sure, let's go with that. Okay. Alright, so the first thing is that I'm going to need a couple of groups just to base this off of. And honestly, the layout that's already pulled up will probably work great for that. If I can pull up a group pool as well, because I have not used this file in quite some time. Alright, let's start with that. Cool. So the way we're going to be building the symmetrical group for reference, or at least what I've got in my head right now, is going to be to basically pick a fixture, pick its mirror, pick a fixture, pick its mirror. And in that way, it will be super easy for the plugin to figure out what is supposed to be the mirror for each fixture when we're going through and rebuilding the destination group. So I'm going to save that as my symmetry reference. And let's see. Can't reach my damn keyboard. This is super last minute, so I don't really have anything planned for this, but here we go. Let's clear out of that, and then we'll do something like that. I'm not sure how visible that is. Let me adjust the stream here just a little bit for this view. And actually, let's go ahead and back up. I'm going to switch to single view mode. Not yet. Options. Mode, single screen. Yes, I am well aware. Save, and I guess I don't need MA3D right now. Cool, so that should be a little bit easier to keep tabs on. Cool. All right, going to screen 2, screen 1. Okay, so I've got to figure out how exactly this is going to work out. So the first group, I'm going to switch over. Can I switch to just that screen? This might get weird for a second. Nope, nope. Hey, all right. So figuring out how we're going to structure this exactly. So ref group, interleaved. Just to have something there. And then what we're going to be doing is, let's see, we're going to break down destination group. Oops. All right, we're going to break down destination group into individual fixtures, then go one by one. Let's see, how are we going to structure this? So we need to go through for each fixture and see if it, kind of speaking out loud to see if it gets my brain rolling on some of this, because we're not going to be grabbing that next fixture immediately after. So we're going to be building these in pair tables. So the best way to do that would be, anyways, we're going to, okay, think. Each fixture, if found in the original group, add to a table with its mirror. All right, then we're going to loop through those tables front to back first, add each first fixture, then loop through in reverse, add each second fixture, and that will, I wish I could have something to draw that out on, but this will hopefully be able to make some sense out of it verbally as we go along. But basically it will be going through, we're going to check for each fixture that was found in the original, our reference group. We're going to grab that fixture, then we're going to grab the fixture that was paired with it. And each of those is going to live in a table like this. So it will look like, let's say 101 and 110. Then it's going to be, I don't know, let's say, because we're assuming that the destination group is not already symmetrical, so we're going to say the next one was 103. Oops. With its mirror of, in this case, it would be what, 108. And then so on down the line. So then, as we go through the first loop, once we have built that table, we're going to go down left to right, building our selection as 101, 103, and then when we come back around, we'll be adding 108, 110, and that will create our symmetrical group, because that will end up looking like 101, 103, 108, 110, and building it in such a way that our wings will work out grabbing symmetrical pairs. At some point in there, we're going to have to add in some rules about wing from the destination group. Okay, so if we run into a fixture that is supposed to be one of the later parts of these pairs, actually, how we're going to handle that is as we are looping through and building the group, we are going to make sure that we are referencing. Okay, we're going to turn this into a bunch of tables that look like this first, and then we're going to check that any fixtures in our destination group are a first entry. If it's not a first entry, we're going to ignore it. And in that way, it will, theoretically, we're going to see how this works out, allow us to not be adding in second items as first items and then have a group that ends up like repeating a number weirdly like that. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm going to dive into it. So let's get our code editor open here, if I can find it. I'll go back to this view. Don't really need all that. Okay. Sure. So we're going to start out from our template file here. We'll do the full one. And now we're going to save this. I know that window's super small to read right now. Alright, so we're just starting out our Lua file here. I'm going to go into our template here, grab all of this code. And I don't know what the hell the thing's going to be called. Oops, I guess that's what that was. 0.01 and last updated, the hell is today? March, I can get it, 24th. Year's 2020. So I was answering a comment. Here we go. All right. So first thing, I'm just going to go through and mark out what all is going to be happening in the plugin. So we're going to be collecting user inputs first. So basically, I'm just going to go out with notes, make an outline of everything I'm going to be doing, and then come back and fill it all in. So I've got a basic structure laid out already. So we're collecting all of our user inputs, and then we're going to, what the hell did we just talk about up here? Figure out later if we are going to store to a completely different group, which seems wise. Actually, we're just going to go ahead and do that. Alright, make sure I'm using the latest version here. So this line, all of this stuff is coming from a library file that I've built from all of the plugins I've done over the last couple of years. So, oops, went too far out here. And we're on version 1.6.6 right now. So I've got a whole separate file of all of the structures that I built. That way I've got a lot of reusable code, and I'm not having to do everything from scratch every time. So we are in version 1.6.6. And then at the end, I just embed the whole thing into one plugin so that there's no messiness in show files having to make people import 2, 3, 4, however many plugins to do one task. Collect user input. Next is going to be... Ooh, having a brain fart right now. Going to okay. All right, so I'm going to keep all my user inputs in a singular table here, so we're going to call that and honestly, I have not been the best at naming conventions. I've gone back and forth on how I handle some of these things, some of these, what I call, and this is poor terminology, but global structure, something that's going to be getting referenced frequently throughout the plugin that's going to be holding a collection of data. I feel like I put some thought into this in the last thing I built, whatever that was. Problem is I can't completely remember what that was. Here we go. And the verdict is... Alright, I did keep that all lowercase, so there we go. Out of the way. And this st new is just a expansion on the basic table functions. It's just a table with some extra options that I've built as a data structure. Cool story, right? Alright, so input, we call it singular, input dot symmetry reference. And again, this GUI.input is going to be part of that library of things I've made. It's based on the text input function. So it'll be so first parameter is the title of that text bar. Second parameter is what will be entered by default, and then I've added some options. It is underscored, okay. Match escape. Alright, so what this means is that it has to be a number, and that if they enter exactly what has been entered in here without any kind of input, it sends another return value that will tell the plugin to close out. I just have to check if that was the second or the third thing that it sends. The third. Yep. Alright, so we're going to declare that here, so we're not declaring this in the global space. Let's see, if escape, then go to EOF, and these go-to functions refer to the very end of the plugin, the main plugin function, so that anytime something does not go as it's been expected to, it will just skip to the very end of the plugin. Alright, and we will repeat that for, actually, I don't know what you would call them. I'll find a better name for that in a minute. Alright, so we're just going to build these in pairs. Nope, that's a terrible idea because then I'll have to... you know what, why not? Do some ref. And I'll explain what I'm doing in just a second here. Copy. Alright. So what I am doing, oops, that was the wrong way, is making a table of all the prompts and all of the entries inside of the input field that are going to be filled, since we're going to be repeating this command a few times, so I don't have to keep putting in the same pile of crap. So there's one. Second will be and I change my mind on naming a lot as I go. That's actually kind of a poor one, isn't it? Because then I have to store to something. That's a pretty confusing name, so we're going to call this... Okay, we're going to change reference to be, original. There we go. We're going to take this. All right. For IV and I pairs. Prompt do input. All right, so we're going to do input, and then the key is going to be whatever we entered on the first item here. So this would actually be v1 equals, start from this, GUI input, v2, guess all that was really not necessary. Then num equals true, match escape equals true. Just to give some further input if that does happen and it does fail. I've got an install log going throughout the length of the plugin that will just collect any messages that are relevant to what has happened while the plugin's running. So we'll say all this. All right. All right. So to go through, ask for the group number for each of these different entries. If it gets nothing, it will say no input was provided and go to the end of the function and terminate. So we can get rid of all of this now, and we have handled all three of these. Great. Actually, escape didn't need to be declared up here anymore, did it? Oh, I forgot to redeclare that. Alright, so that shouldn't be populated with anything if it does not fail at any of those three steps in the loop. Cool. Next up, Let's see. So now we have to break down the reference group, which means I've got to pull some old stuff out and figure out how exactly we did that. So I know I've got a plugin that does this already. And this is probably going to take a lot of the fun out of it, but the function to break down and analyze the group has already been written. Where it was, I released something recently that did it. The full fixture grab, that was the one. Alright, we scroll past all this mess. It was what, get.group? Yep, okay. No, it is that simple. Made a function that is get.group. So just to at least show what it is, let's see. Alright, so I've got a function over here that will, you give it a group number. I'm actually just going to be reading this down as I go. Sets up some file path stuff, so make sure to switch to the internal drive. Figure out what the name of the XML file is going to be, on all the directory stuff, where it's actually going to be exporting to based on what MA already does. It's going to export the group there using that file name, so it knows where in the file system to read. It will open it, collect all of the contents, then delete the temporary file. Makes a couple of containers to hold all of the extracted group, all the fixture and channel numbers, and then it will go through and look for any headers that start with subfixture, and then basically just use text matching to figure out which fixtures and which channels have been stored in the group, and then return a table, which was, yeah, that was what we just declared up here. So, all of that. I'm just going to answer a couple of comments here. So, just to clarify, that was not, build. 2, 1. I'm about to explain what I'm typing out right now. Build it a 1-to-1. Can I send this? It won't let me send this. There we go. So the whole point on this is that, yes, it is obviously plenty easy if you go in and just build your group symmetrically with a cleanly built layout. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a total chance that this is going to end up being a complete exercise in folly. But so, for example, you could build your group left to right, like that. Let me turn on highlight. And if I get some wings going here, it's easy enough to build something that will be symmetrical. The goal of this, and the issue that I was faced with that kind of got my brain thinking about this, is that if I've got a symmetrical selection from left to right here. So the problem with this is that I want it to be a block left to right, but I also want it to be symmetrical. However, the problem is going to come in that for that to work over here, sorry, trying to find the words for it, we can see that we're accidentally grabbing opposite trusses. So the best ways to handle that, and frankly, I might be about to realize that I'm spending time on something that a plugin is not necessary for, which happens frequently enough when I missed a detail or two that would help things. So easiest way to handle something like that would be to grab all these guys, and this would ideally be in a copy of the layout so you're not screwing up what's already been done, and basically offset them just a little bit so that you can then clear out and do your symmetrical order left to right. And when you go back to doing wings, because you had offset each truss to be a little more out or in than the next one over, you will get an actual symmetrical selection, which is easy enough to do in a layout that is this small. However, if you get into something of this size, where everything is this crammed, that is where it can become a problem. So now I'm trying to think, before I dive any deeper into doing this by plugin, the best ways that would be available to do it from here. Because, well, first off, there are center fixtures, which don't help us at all and would ideally be just completely left out. So let's get rid of that. My delete is not working. Using the wrong ones. Let's try that. There we go. Delete that, delete that, delete that. I'm not going to worry about center fixtures right now. The problem I'm seeing with it in a setup like this is that you end up with trying to splay out the distance, just trying to figure out how exactly you could arrange it so that you know that whatever is going to be grabbed left to right on this half is going to be the same as if you were to lasso from right to left on this half. And when you have this many fixtures this close together, it causes issues. Now, admittedly, the problem with the approach I'm taking right now is that I've got all these damn little pixel things in here, and that would be a major problem on the grounds of, well, you don't really want to go back and forth clicking 160 times with, I'm pretty sure it's 160 pixels I've got set up there. So I'm sure there is some kind of stipulation that I can put into this at a later point that will address that, but for right now I'm just going to stick with the one-to-one selection group, unless, hold on, there's a thought coming to me. There's a thought coming. Okay, so maybe there's a smarter way to approach this. So instead of having to build it one-to-one telling what each fixture's mirror is going to be, what I could do instead is provide a range of groups that will be all symmetrical in and of themselves. So for example, this group will be symmetrical left to right because it was, I mean, pretty straightforward. It was a left-to-right selection, one row. For my wings, I could build a group that is bottom to top and then top to bottom, and then when I go back into using my wings again, we will see that, oops, that's what happens when you build it in setup mode. Alright, so if I put my wings back in there, then we will have a symmetrical selection based on that. Do the same thing for this truss, do the same thing for the next truss, and that would allow a much faster system of being able to build symmetrical order. So instead of giving it a singular group that has to be symmetrical left to right, what I can do instead is give it a range of groups. So, and again, because I don't really just like having to reinvent the wheel every time, I've already built this code before. So I'm just going to completely steal this from a previous plugin and then tweak it to fit this one. So, whatever I did on the original input groups is unnecessary now. And now, oops, because that acts as a copy function too, doesn't it? Copy this. And the code I'm copying right now is just to loop an input. So, let's see. And we're going to be starting with, alright. And the way this code is set up, just generically, this has been used in a few different plugins I've done, is it will allow a range of inputs to be provided. If it sees the word through, it's going to break it down, check that each of those groups exists, and then for the ones that do exist, basically there's another function happening in the background that will, oh sorry, it's not in the background, it's right here. Alright, how about I just go through and clean this up and explain what's going on as I do it. So we don't need a maximum on this one, but we do need to set up input dot as a table. All right. So there's symmetrical groups input as a table, so that we can keep adding to this as new groups are provided. So count equals length of. And we're just going to actually change this to true. So this will just make an infinite loop that can only be broken with the keyword break there. While true, do count equals. Actually, we're just going to go ahead and do a replace function here. Nope. Alright, there's only two of them. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, so we've got the same GUI input going on here. If it sees an escape, then it will go ahead and break the loop. So that's going to be our trigger to leave, basically. And that's what the match escape does. So if it sees that the same input has been provided, it will return an additional value, which is the third value that will be returned. So if it sees any kind of value there, then it's going to go ahead and kill the loop. If it sees no input whatsoever, then it's going to terminate the plugin. Not actually entirely sure why I set it up like that. I think that's more if somebody hits cancel than if they hit enter, so that would be why. Okay. T equals number. Alright, so setting it up as a table for each one. So right now, when I set it for number equals true, if it sees x through y, it will return, if there was an x through y, it will return a table, a two-element table with the first and last element provided. So I'm setting it up so that no matter what happens, it's going to see it as that, so that the following processing can remain consistent. We're going to go through the range from the first to the last element, make sure all those groups do exist. Extract the number, extract the name, provide a name if it doesn't have one. Okay. And I'm going to make some notes in here then. So I like to go through and make sure that I know what all entries are contained in a collection item so that I can just scroll up to that and see what all has been provided into it. So we're going to be seeing input dot group orig, group final. Oh, give me a fucking break. And then that's going to have dot number and dot name. It just allows me to keep some notes to see when I'm trying to find it later, instead of having to dig into the function where these items were first declared. I can just, oh shit, what did I just do? I can just scroll up to where the parent item was declared and see what all was included in it. So, yeah. And I am trying to keep an eye on the comments from time to time. Like I said, I've literally never done a streaming thing before, so pardon whatever blunders I am making. Let's see. Okay, so we're good on that. All right, and then if it sees that this isn't what was just generated from a single number, it'll let you know input range is provided, number of groups that were actually found, which we were keeping a count of. I don't know why I called it. That's an abbreviation for range. I don't know why I named it that, but we're going to go with it because it's already written and it already works. Okay. And then it'll just let the user know however many groups were found in that range. So great. So now we have a slightly more intelligent system of creating our symmetrical groups than having to go through and one-to-one pick every single damn thing. Sweet. Now, let's collapse that. And that, honestly, I'd rather expand that again later, but I'm going to leave it so I don't just keep redoing the same work. Okay, so analyze reference. Call this symmetry groups. Make sure we're saving as I go along here. Awesome. Okay, symmetry groups. So that's right, we were getting into the analyze each group code. So I was looking at the full grab plugin for that, just so I don't goof the syntax. It's kind of one of the bummers about Lua versus like the things you can do in C++ or any compiled language is that there's tools built for those languages, and Visual Studio, for example, that will look inside of other files and tell you what your available options are. Lua, not so much. They don't care as much about scripting languages. What the fuck am I looking at? I'm just zoning through the screen right now. So get group. It's literally just a group number. I really didn't need to copy that. All right, so for AV in iPairs, this is about the point where I'll start getting into split screen so I can keep an eye on different parts of the file at once. Don't need to compress it that much. In iPairs, input.groups. So for those who know nothing about Lua, this iPairs thing will basically go through a table, anything that's indexed numerically, and it will go through every single item. I is the number index, V is the value inside of it. You can change these to whatever you want. If I wanted this to be index, if I wanted it to be dix, it can be whatever I want it to be, and then it'll declare those variables temporarily so that they're actually available inside of this loop, as I'm about to utilize here. So I'm going to do get group value.number. So that V was declared right here. And we're going to say, this is a table object, right? Let's see. This isn't inputs anymore. This would fall under... Oh, this was not local either. I've been real inconsistent about semicolon usage. It doesn't matter in Lua, but since I've been digging into C++, it has been more of a thing I've been trying to keep memory on. Okay, so groups, and we're going to have dot symmetry. Okay, so we're going to do a temp table here, which I always just label as T. Pretty sure I took that from an MA share thread forever ago, and it just kind of stuck. Okay, so I have to keep a mind on how. Okay, so I want to grab and put in pairs symmetrical fixture pairings here. So what I'm going to do is... Goddamn, trying to say it out loud and do it at the same time kind of sucks. Alright, I'm going to shut up for a second here. Make sure I understand the input output of this. Get group raw. Okay, so it returns a dot fixture and a dot channel table. Fixture. Key values in key. Why am I using keys here? check the output of this function is. It's kind of the good and the bad thing about reusing information is sometimes I forget how I actually built a function. Right. How are we adding to this table? And T is a table itself. Oh, look, I already took notes on how it actually outputs like a smart human being would have done. Okay. Table.fixture, each item has fixture number, subfixture number, and then a full fixture number, which is how you would actually read it. So, okay, so I'm looking for the dot full here, which I'm guessing is what I used in Well, yeah, I'm really not sure how I built some of my own plugins at this point. Super glamorous stuff here. Alright. Okay, so we are going to get group. Alright, so we have t.channel, t. At this point, I'm just making notes for myself. I don't care about key swap here, but it will be in a numerical order for how it was entered in the group, and that is the information that I am interested in. So we are going to trying to figure out if I should have just two separate tables built for fixtures and channels, or if I should just be writing out the full name on all of this crap. And that seems a little bit unnecessary. Also, I might just ignore the channel part for now and come back to that, because I'm sure there's somebody's show file that matters for, but it doesn't for mine. And this was being built for my file, so cool. So we're going to do, we're going to call inverse equals the length of the table minus I, plus 1. So that should get us at any given point the exact opposite index. So if we've got 10 items in a table, 1 to 10, this would give us, it should be 10, it should be, yeah, 10 minus I, which is 1, plus 1, which gets us back to 10, perfect. Okay. So we're going to say groups, make a new table for this here. Guess I could be consistent on how I'm declaring that. Alright, so there's our inverted index. Make a note. We're going to say groups symmetry equals. Actually, no, we're going to put the full fucking elements in there. We're going to say ti for the first index and t inverted index for the opposite one. Now we want to make sure we don't duplicate this, so if inverted is less than or equal to, oof, we don't want equal to. Yeah, fuck it, we'll leave it just less than. If inverse is less than the original index, then break. So we'll kill our loop if we start hitting the opposite side. Alright, and then we're going to add in an entry. Alright, so we are doing this looping through all provided symmetrical groups that I can't spell. Then we're going to extract group info, except this is not right. This should be, you know what, t equals t dot fixture. There we go. Just so we can shorten the name. Okay, so that should, in theory, help allow us to build a massive table that just has every possible fixture given along with its duplicate. At some point, it would be wise. Just going to make a note to come back to this. Loop through created table and remove duplicate entries or inverted. Just in case anybody's groups were, for example, somebody built that and then came back and then decided this was a good idea, so we don't have duplicate entries. There shouldn't be any inverted entries, but again, God knows what might be set up in someone's file, so, or the layout or what the rig is or whatever. Okay, so we're going to analyze our destination group now, which is going to be as simple as, what do we have here? Except we were renaming this to something else, weren't we? Yeah, original. Orig. So groups dot orig equals get group, and it would be input dot group original. Cool. And that will give us the same table that we just provided to this, except we don't have to do anything to it as far as just obtaining the group. That comes in the next step, which I guess might as well combine it into one. Okay. So we have done that. Next is going to be to go through and create a new group. So groups dot, we're going to call it final equals a table. Alrighty. So this is going to get a little bit hairy for a moment, and by that I mean I haven't planned out this far. Now I have to figure out a way to go through and take this group and this group, all these symmetrical groups that have been provided, and then take this mess and turn it into something that will be more symmetrical. So basically, ideally what will happen is, and I could go about this two ways. I could ask for an input of only 1/2 of the rig, so I don't even have to worry about duplicates. Or there is the option to just do the whole thing, and any duplicates that get found will be handled. The part that bothers me about that is that it does leave the potential for the user to have done something like this, where they might end up close enough together that MA's less than stellar selection abilities in a layout will interpret this as being farther left, or farther to, yeah, left than this. Which, if you're ever having that issue while building symmetrical groups from a layout, one thing I found super helpful is just to grab the whole damn thing, and go into arrange, and do scale, and do like a factor of 10. And then once you do, oh, did I apply that? I did not apply that. Okay, so we'll apply this zoom to fit. Okay, and then it'll spread the shit out of it. Once you've done that, it tends to be a lot better, but for some reason when you're doing like a big left to right or top to bottom selection without doing that, it just has a lot more possibility to get things out of order, and I don't really know why. We're going to oops that, 'cause I don't need it to be that spread out. There we go. Okay. Anyways, back to what we were doing. So, I think the plan is going to be, we're going to keep it the full selection group because it seems unlikely to me that people would, it seems more likely to me that somebody would just already have this on hand than a nice symmetrical left half of the rig only thing going on. We're going to figure that out. I've also got to do something for handling center fixtures because they will inevitably be a thing for somebody, although at the end of the day it might just be, well, I guess they're just going to kind of get lumped into the center. I mean, there's not much else you can do with those. Okay, so we need to go through. So we're going to loop through the group's original. So for IV in iPairs groups orig do. So we're going to index every numerical key through this. And what we're going to do is first build a table that has all of the fixtures in correct order, and then once that's built, then go into the command line and actually select them, because it just seems silly to take the time to have it processing that much, well, in the command line while it's still just figuring the math out. Now it can do a lot more with a lot less commands later. So loop through the original group. Here's a problem. I gotta figure out how the hell we're going to find where in that group things exist. Alright, I'm going to take a super short bathroom break, and then we are going to tackle how to match up the fixtures and build the new group. I can't see shit. Nope. There we go. Okay. See if I actually understood enough about how to use this damn thing. Okay. So we are going back in, and the next step here is that we are going to figure out how to go through our original group and then pair it correctly with our symmetrical pairs that were built. So the best way to do this is going to be to build another table that will have all of these tables in it. So actually we are going to order this table. Less brilliant of an idea. Yeah, we're just going to make another table. I'm not worried that we're going to be using that much memory with it. So let's say... And then for IV in I pairs of groups symmetrical do. Alright, so we need to make sure that we're actually grabbing the number out of this, which I'm trying to remember. The format is I dot fixture. God damn the fucking subfixture numbers. That will actually matter when it comes to multi-instance fixtures. Alright, let's do a quick test on this then, because I don't remember. Well, actually, I can just read my own damn code, because I need to figure out then what happens if it's a single instance fixture. So fixture ID equals blah 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 blah. Sub is looking for a sub index. Okay. T2. So it might not even have a T2. Okay. So if I'm understanding that right, oh wait. Where's fixture number then? Hold up, this doesn't make sense. Figure out. Yeah, if there's a takeaway here, it's take better notes of your own programming. Okay, subfixture, blah blah blah, utilities. Okay, how in the fuck does it end up in this format? Oh, it's not a damn index. That's index 1, that's index 2, and that's a key index. Okay. Okay, so that makes it plenty easy. So, or at least makes it, I know what the fuck's going on now. So, we want to make I equals, so this isn't a matter of being an ordered thing. We want the keys to match something. Oh, we just need to key it by the fixture full number because we're going to be using a table that has objects with the exact same formatting. So these will have this, whatever, this dot full parameter, which will be, for example, if it was like an aura, it could be 101.2 for that subinstance. They're both going to share that, so I can just make the keys a piece of information that they both will share, which in this case is that full number. So we will say groups.sim ordered, and then our key is going to be value 1. So we want the first entry of this, which will be one of the get group output objects dot full. just going to make a note now, indexing by full fixture number equals v. So all we're doing is making a table that has all of the same information in it, but is indexed by a certain field in it rather than by, well, then just by a sequential series of numbers. If this was a language like C# or any more advanced scripting language, it would have a built-in query function that allows this kind of searching a lot better. It's not, so this is something we have to do instead. So we can get rid of this since I've already explained it here, but I do want to make sure that this is among these entries. Okay. And then .final as well we've added. Okay. So we've indexed by that. Now we go back into our loop through the original group, and we are going to add a pair, a fixture pair to the groups.final table for each original fixture, excluding mirrored duplicates. Okay. Hopefully that will make some amount of sense as we go. And I say hopefully in regards to my own brain. So we are going to say that groups final append, and this is one of those functions which I think you can just use table.insert, but whatever. We will append groups dot ordered v and groups dot original. This is a direct output from a get group thing. So, oh, actually, I'll goof this one up. T equals, I'll explain why in just a second here. And then this equals t dot fixture. Okay, so we're trying to make sure we're extracting just the fixture table from this right now. I might go back and add channels in later, but for the moment, we are keeping it as this. Sign fixture. Okay. Cool. I've never made so many notes in my programming since I started. All right. So we're going to groups ordered, and we are looking for the index that matches this entry's full parameter, and that should allow us to go into this table and access whatever pair had been started with the same fixture. Now that is assuming that the same fixture exists, so we have to add some things in here. So if groups dot, why am I typing this? If that exists, then, so there's our first item, making sure we don't have any errors, and this on its own should fix our issue with mirrors as well, because all of these entries for this guy were based off of the first, entry of each pair, which means this table the only keys available in this table are the first item in each pair. So if whatever fixture has been found in this original group does not exist as a key to this table, then it is either the second half of the mirror or it wasn't part of that group. In either case, we want that ignored, so this is handling both situations for us. So ignore if fixture did not exist in symmetrical, groups, or was second half of a mirror. Okay, cool. And let's keep on going down here. So that allows us to, honestly, I'm trying to think of what else we need to safeguard against, and I'm sure once I test it, I will have some insights as to what I missed, but that should build our groups final table. So then, from there, I said I was going to be consistent about this. It works either way. Now we're going to my capitalization practices are all over the place. Alright, now we're going to actually go through and construct the groups. I was trying to think through right now on any details that I want to go through first. You know what? We're going to make another table. Groups, not final, ordered equals to new. Alright, so now we're going to go through and we're going to turn that whole set of pairs into a singular table of fixture numbers. So, and I'm going to make sure the formatting of full does not include the word fixture. It does not. It sure does not. Okay. So that makes everything great. So, you know what? L equals groups dot final. And we're going to do for I, we're going to do a different kind of for loop. Equals 1, make that L, and that will, oh shit, what just happened? Okay, I must have page down. Alright, so we're going to get rid of our I pairs thing, and it will make sense in just a second when I do the reverse loop why I went this route. Do groups, final, ordered, append, and we're going to do L, we're going to use that index dot full. So we're going to add that to the table, and then we're going to go through, oh shit, li, sorry, 1 full. So we're going to go through and grab the second entries, moving in reverse order this time. So from the length of the table to 1, and incrementing by -1 each loop, we are going to then add through. So we're going to swipe through basically all the first items going left to right on the table, then come back right to left, adding all the second items on the table. So this gives us now a table that is ordered exactly as our final group is going to be ordered. So now we just have to go through and put it in the command line. So let's go ahead and construct that in the command line. What the hell am I getting bugged about right now? Okay. So we are going to go from, I'll figure out blind edit. We want to do this in blind edit? Might as well. So command, alright, and then, uh-oh, does that table not exist in here? Huh. Alright, well usually I've got a table set up for anything that needs to be executed should the plugin fail from that point. So we're going to go ahead and uncomment this. And I know I goddamn used this in a recent plugin. Ugh. Why? Why do I keep changing shit on myself? There we go. Alright, and then we need to make sure this table actually exists at the beginning of the plugin now. So failure command equals. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do that to our starting plugin template so I don't have to deal with this again next time. And oops, it was right here. Actually, we're going to go ahead and copy all of this. Cool. So that is now part of the template file. Awesome. What was I doing? We were going to say failure command append and I think that was the only thing. We're also going to go ahead and go to the end of this. Alright, cool. So now we are going to go through, and I'm basically just trying to make this take as few of steps as possible. So I'm going to say local max equals 20, and this will just allow me to figure out how many items I'm putting in at a time. I have to check how this function is used though, because I'm not sure if I can just pull specific items out of a table. Where in the fuck? 4K screen's great, but then sometimes I lose shit and cannot find it. Here we go. So I've got a separate Lua interpreter I open anytime I'm working on some other idea that I haven't played with before. So we're going to say equals, I don't know, 1, you know what, I don't have time for this shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's at least make it sensible to read. Okay. Table. Print. Oh, it says right there. Cool, so it can be, just to make sure. What I do? Oh, that is not the word local. Line 5, missed a closing parenthesis. Yep. Okay. Yes, it does work. It does exactly what I want it to do. Not that you can really... Oh, hey, I can blow it up. Anyways, all I'm checking for right now is a method of putting a bunch of items from a table together at once. So by going through this, basically, it's looping through and doing chunks of 4 numbers at a time, entering here. So what I'm going to translate that to for MA is for let's see, while true do. Let's start with an infinite loop. That's a maybe not the best way. We need to start an index count. That's all. Local I equals 1. So I, and we'll say J. Why not? j equals I plus max. If j is greater than, what's the table we're reading through? Groups.final ordered, then j equals groups dot. Except that is incorrect. I'm looking for the length operator here. Okay, so we're looking at the lengths of these tables. And then do an inline thing there. I like to try to keep my if statements in parentheses when I remember to do things. Okay, so we're just making sure that we're not going to try to access any indexes that or indices that are beyond the end of the table. Now we're going to say command fixture. We're going to use S in this case. And this command thing is the normal gma.command, except I've added string.format into it as well, so that I can make it a lot easier to build commands that are readable in the code rather than having to use a million concatenation operators, which I don't know if I've actually done any of that in here. So those who don't know Lua might not be familiar with that. But basically, if you want to put two pieces of text together, you have to use this two dot operator. So I'll just write it real quick to see, so you guys can see what I mean. Oops. Actually, this will definitely be a dot S. So this will be table.concatenate. Then we're looking for groups, final ordered. And we're looking from okay. So for me to have written this with gma.command would be actually that wouldn't have been too bad on this one. It would have been fixture and then this same thing. So it would have come out about the same here, but when there's multiple variables being added into a command, this has just made it a lot easier for me, so I stick with it. So fixture, that plus that plus that plus that, whatever. And then we're going to say if I equals I plus max, because there's no plus equals operator in Lua, and then if I is greater than the length of this hot mess, then break end. Cool. All right, so now we've cleared out, we're made sure we're in world 1, we've made sure we are in blind edit. I'm sure there's something else I have possibly forgotten, and I'll come back to address that when I do remember. So we're starting from a blank slate, essentially. Then we are grabbing all of our fixtures in chunks. I'm doing 20 fixtures at a time based on this variable. You can overload the command line. I've learned that if your command is more than 1,024 characters, it will crash the console. So I just try to take some efforts to keep commands under that length, although realistically, let's just do some math here. Let's say we're dealing with 4-digit fixture numbers that all have sub-instances, so that's 6 numbers plus a decimal, let's say 7, plus a space plus a plus, so that's 7, 8, 9, let's say 10 even. So, I mean, not that I couldn't have done that math in my head, but that still puts us at a 200 character count max here, so I can up this thing to like 40 and we'll probably be fine. I'll see how much I regret saying that. Cool. And then all that is left after that is command store group, and that group number was input dot group final. That is, wow. Yeah, I learned how to type like a monkey apparently. And then command. But just to be safe, because we know we're going to need some store options, we're going to use equals selected, and then we're going to make sure it's an overwrite, and I think that was it actually. I don't think we need to do anything else for storing a group, but we could label it. Label group. Oh, whatever. We'll just give it something generic. The user can rename it later. This wasn't really intended to be some fancy, whatever, marketing thing. Just needed something in my file. Okay, and that, in theory, should take care of everything. Trying to think if there's a need to bother to put progress bars in this thing. Let's see how long it takes to run first, and then I'll come back to progress bars if it's necessary. Actually, you know what? No, there's no need to do it if it's not necessary, but if it doesn't need it, I will go through what I've done for progress bars and some other plugins just for anybody who's interested, because I've kind of definitely made it a lot more streamlined than the original built-in functions allow you to do. Cool, so we're just going to say class dot. Again, this is another object I've constructed in that GDF file. New, and we're calling it plugin. And I don't have that string format in here, so you are seeing the usual way of putting strings together. Actually, that's pretty much it. So we're just going to say not confirm, message box, and print. So this will just take any text that was entered here and put it in a message box, and also print it to the command line and system monitor. And on some of the larger plugins I've done, oh yeah, that doesn't have anything at it. Let's see, just to show what it would usually be doing. Like, you can build a bigger message and then have it print to both those places. Just makes an easier way for me to communicate with the user. So with all of that done, am I in the right plugin? I am in the right plugin. I'm just really scrolled up all of a sudden. I'm not in the right plugin. Alright, I'm done. Cool. With that all taken care of and making sure this is all correct, we are going to make sure that we have this file in the file that we're about to work with, which I can definitely figure out how to find. Alright, and we're going to see what do we have for GDF in here. Version 1.1.2. It's been a while. Okay. Cool, and this is going to be GDF version 1.6.6. Make sure we're backed up here. Alright. Let's give our new plugin a test here. Spoiler alert, it will never work the first time. Let's see, line 101. So this is the stage where I start going through and seeing what I typed wrong. And if this was a much larger plugin, I would have been doing this in phases, not just waiting until the very end. So start at 101, 292. Is that the length of the whole plugin? It is. Alright, so I missed a parentheses here somewhere. Alright, let's see where it is. Oh, looks good, that looks good. It's in here. if then, else, end. Sometimes missing ends are also interpreted as missing ends of parentheses. And by missing ends, I mean the literal word end, which ends a loop or a chunk of some kind. I know this block all worked because I copy-pasted it from a plugin where it worked, so it's not that. Not the table. Looks like we're good here. Super, super exciting trying to find the singular missed goddamn parenthesis. Function, so it's probably an if statement I forgot to close. If end for end if then end for do end for end. The one stupid fucking little if statement that got missed somewhere. Wow. Alright, this one's, oh, it's my favorite part. Did I miss anything else that was helpful here? Okay, so this was never closed, which doesn't mean an extra end. Definitely means I'm missing one. Okay, I feel confident it's not in there, but I'll come back if it's not. To end for this to end if. Motherfucker. Alright, what in the hell did I possibly miss? Multiple times. Alright, I ignored this. Let's come back to it. If else has an end. Ah, there it is. This loop does not have one. God damn it. Alright. Alright, 255. No visible end of loop. Where did I use that? Go to end of loop. Is that what that was being used for? Inputs. Oh, max doesn't even exist here though, so that can go away, which means this can go away. Cool. Alright, so far it loaded correctly, so that is farther than we made it so far. Now let's make sure we have some groups to give to it before we run this motherfucker. So, let's do... Oh, why not? Let's do it in here. So we're gonna delete all of this shit. Sorry guys. Hope none of you are important, but this isn't really a running show file anyways. Alright, so let's go through and let's make our symmetrical groups here. So, let's start off with our trusses here. So there's one, and then here's two, and it should not, actually it does not matter the way it's been written, what order these selections are made in, so long as each selection itself is symmetrical. But me doing rows and then sides or sides then rows, that makes no difference right now. I will come back for you, because you look like a mess, like my life. Alright, and then keep this just mythos. Go to a fixture sheet here just to make sure that is indeed what I grabbed. Yep, all mythos. Cool. Alright, did I make... Oh, thank God. Ooh, that's right. This was a weird-ass festival. Because these things got rearranged. Okay. First off, I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you. I want 601 through 612. 601 through 612. Well, it's kind of sad, but oh well. I'm deleting half of this shit. Anyways. Okay, much easier to work with. Now, I can do my symmetrical selection of all those cells. Make sure that we indeed just have a whole bunch of pixels selected. Cool. That is not the thing I needed. I'm going to store all those pixels, and then we're going to come back to our layout and grab all of our master instances. Not that these really make a difference, but just to have it in there. Since we're doing the whole rig. Okay. So what did I forget? The center fixtures. You know what, let's just make sure this part works first, because I know that my main group doesn't even have center fixtures, and then we'll come back and handle that mess. Okay. Oh, Jason, what are you doing? We were going to go check out, right, the whole massive left to right selection. Okay. So then our big selection order here is going to be this. So I'm going to go ahead and store this over here. We're going to call it wall. Okay. So now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to put my money down that when I put wings on, this is going to look like shit. Yep, there it is. There's God knows how many sub-instances of cells going on right now too, but definitely does not look very symmetrical right now. Now, as a whole, as a big sweeping effect, it will look symmetrical enough, and for a color effect or a dimmer effect, it'd be fine. The issue I'm trying to address right now involves a position effect, where you need, you know, the matching fixture on the opposite side of the rig pointing in the same place. If the positions are built well enough, it will make a difference. So that is the issue I'm trying to solve here. For a giant sweep left to right or center out, it would not be noticeable otherwise, but we all got some fucking time to kill right now. Let's check this out. Okay, so group, I'm just going to write these down. It's going to be 180 is going to be our source group, and we'll just say 181 is going to be where the new one will end up. Then 165 through 174 will be the symmetrical groups. So let's see just how bad I may have fucked this up. Yeah, no, it still runs inside of A. Alright. Cool. So far, so good. 165 through 174. Alright, it's these 10 groups. Good. Done with that. Group to make symmetrical. 180. Storing to 181. And we have crashed. Attempt to call a table value. 172. Yeah, no, that's, yep, wrong. What exactly was I trying to do? Ah. There we go. That is not a function, so groups.sim. Oh, wait. Append this. So we will pass this table onto it. And then sim order. Okay, yeah, that looks more correct. So it was treating that as if this table was a function, which is not what it was. Alright, let's try this again. 165 through 174. Then we're going to do 180. We're going to store to 181. And 177. index nil value group. And it goes on like this for quite some time usually. Yep. One day I will set up a streamlined system so that default entries are handled so I don't have to type every damn time. Bad argument to number 2 to format, no value. Line 228 is where it came from. Oh, well, yep, kind of really didn't do that right. Alright, so we're labeling that group correctly and not just some arbitrary nameless group. Cool. 165 through 174. Cool. Group number 11. Don't need it. Making symmetrical 180, storing to 181. New group stored to 181. Alright. So we have a group. Plugin is run. It didn't crash. That doesn't mean it is correct yet. So here goes. Can't wait to see how this actually panned out. So it sure the fuck does look like it, well, let's see. I'm looking for wings. I remember how life works. Well, son of a bitch. I'm gonna be honest, I think I'm the most surprised person here that this thing actually fucking worked. I expected to have to go through a whole lot more shit, but so far, it looks like we got everything, and it looks like it did indeed make our symmetrical order for us just based off of some smaller symmetrical groups. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Now, so far, so good. However, there are a few items that have been left out. I don't plan to go back and add channels in unless people just ask for it enough. But I'm probably just going to release this one for free because, yeah, why the fuck not? What the fuck was I doing? I lost my center fixtures. We were center fixtures, yeah. Hope nobody here is offended by me saying fuck, because it's not going to stop. I tell my spot ops that every night as well. Alright. So we did actually already handle this through a later step, so we don't have to worry about that. And handling center fixtures. Also, I'm going to make a note because I want to figure out, do we want to store to the original group? That seems less desirable. Yeah, no, that doesn't seem quite the best. Have I missed anything over here? Doop-a-doo. No, yeah, figured plugins wouldn't bring in a whole lot of communication. But it kept me focused. Come back. Alright, so we're going to handle center fixtures. Fuck, man. The best thing I can think is just anything that isn't included in the group or in the symmetrical selections will be included. Shit. Alright, so right now the way it's built is that if somebody has a center fixture here, so like let's say I had another BMFO right here, if that fixture came up at any point before center or before any other center fixtures did, and those were before the actual center, it would probably throw off the symmetry of everything beyond that point, which would be not a whole lot, but would still be something. You know what? Okay, so I'm going to keep a table together of all center fixtures, which would be anything that's been marked by having the same number and inverted number when we were figuring out our symmetrical pairs. Then in between our left to right of the left half fixtures and our right to left handling the second half fixtures, I will throw all of those in. I don't know if that made sense out loud, but the concept has been formed. So, first thing, identifying anything that is... Okay, and now, so I need to figure out these values are tables in and of themselves. So that means I can attach another value to them. Okay. Groups, center fixtures. All right, next up. Chris, no you are not. I always have to tell my spot ops every night, if you hear me swearing, cussing motherfucker left and right, it's not you guys, it's either I did something stupid or something stupid came on talkbacks, but I just say those words a lot. Fuck, I forgot what I was doing. This groups.center. Alright. And these are indeed all. That is not a table. That is a table. And that is a table. Okay. So fixtures equals center table new. If and actually, since these are tables in and of themselves, an equality statement will work. If v1 equals v2, then groups.center append. Okay, so it's a little bit different way of handling it. That's fine. Else, we will add it to the ordered symmetrical pair. So this keeps all of our center fixture pairs, which it's just a pair of two of the exact same number, out of our ordered selection. And then when we go through and build our group, we are going to, and this isn't necessarily the cleanest way. I could have labeled everything. Again, first time talking out loud and coding at the same time. All right, so we went through, and we're going to do house left fixtures. And then we're going to say grab all center fixtures. So here is the point where we will interject our center fixtures. So for I, v in I pairs, groups.center do groups.final ordered append oh right, so these were being used as, oh god damn it, I wrote code again that I don't even fucking understand. Append groups final I, oh right, okay, totally, yep, totally how that works. Append v dot full. Let me make sure that V is actually V1 equals V2, then append. We're going to append V1, so it is a return from the getGroup function and not, well, not a table of two matching values. Okay, so where the fuck was I down here? Okay, grab all center fixtures, then grab all house right fixtures. Okay, so this should allow us to integrate any center fixtures into our groups. So, save all this, and then really I'm just going to make sure it runs right now, and then if it does, I am going to revert to an older version of the show file where I didn't delete the center fixtures and start from there. So it was 165 through 174, 10 groups, and then 180 is being stored to, let's just say 182 just to give it a different one. It did fail because I cannot type in IPy's 211. Oop, yep. Alright, let's try this again. 165 through 174. I should change that prompt to be a little clearer. Group to make symmetrical, 180, storing 182. Great, that worked. What I'm going to do here, though, let's do that. Alright, that way. Alright, that ought to take care of that, so it knows what kind of group is being asked for. I'm going to go ahead and revert. Let's go and back this up. Let's pull up. God damn it, Jason. Shit. Honoroo. Man, I really need a new big rig to use as a reference for this shit. Scrolling up to B's. Definitely very happy with MA3 for putting the filter function in this now. No, just save the fucking file so it's newer. Cool. And on 3.8 apparently. Oops. Alright, so we're going to put the GDF file back in here. Version 166. And then we're going to go to Symmetry Group. Alright. And let's back this up as a new file. Alright. And now let's go, and we gotta rebuild those groups again. It would have been way easier for me to have just built a couple of groups that had those instead, but where's the fun in that? This allows for more things to go wrong, which means more things I can check for that are not fucking it up. Let's see. Groups. It was in here, and I said fuck all this. Cool. We're going to store here. Alright, we're going to go through this whole process again. Except this time we now have the center fixtures included. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How could I forget? And we're looking for 613 through 615. Get out of my face. Okay. Now we do this. And then we do this. And I'm still one group short from where I was at before. Got all these, got all these. Let's look at our movers. This, this. Ah, the mythos. Yep, 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 yep. Alright, so there is all of those groups. I'm going to back up. We're going to do our big old wall selection again. Alrighty. And then, was that it? I think that was it. Yep. We've got the plugins ready to go. We've got all of our groups ready to go. And we have a selection that is most definitely not super symmetrical. Cool. Now, let's see what happens when we add it in our center fixtures and see if the whole thing is bugged. 165 through 174. And we're making 180 symmetrical, storing at 181. Cool, and yeah, that runs so fast that it's not even worth making a progress bar. So, we've got our new group there, which can be renamed to whatever later. Up our wing count, and looks like so far so good. So I'm going to take the fast route here and skip to center. Alright, so we've got centers there. Oops. And then what looks like a single fixture after that, which I don't really think that's how wings work. I'm not sure how that happened, but okay. But symmetry was maintained, and we have our center fixtures in the center. So for anything that is using wings, now, yeah, I was just thinking through the statement before I said it out loud. For anything that's using wings, it will work. So that's pretty much it for this. So now, just to keep it so that any changes to this don't affect it later, or so that I can just release it online, which honestly I'll probably just post this fucking thing as soon as the video is done. Just like keeping that thing out of the way. Alright, so we can call this version 1. That is not accurate. What do we have here? Oof, god damn it, now I have to explain it again. Took some notes about this. I am terrible at words. X group. Oh, the only thing I did forget to include was how to handle fixtures that aren't in the symmetry groups. You know what? That would just fuck up the whole selection order anyway, so it's better those get left out. Okay, perfect. Problem solves itself. Fixtures group, compare against a set of symmetrical selections, and rebuilds group to be symmetrical with wings of 2. I think that is accurate enough. There is nothing to user config on this one. Actually, I didn't really check. How big were the commands on this thing? Ah, not terrible. Definitely could have been a lot more problematic. The fuck's going on here? Why do I have a random plus hanging off? That is not how that is supposed to be able to work, nor is this with a missing fixture number, and yet we somehow didn't see issues. Let's just be safe here for a second. Let's run this fucker one more time with that max value turned down. Back you down to 35, or you know what, let's just say 30 just to see if it still happens. Because there is no reason. Table concatenate. I to J. It wouldn't work, you know, unless empty values got added in there somehow. That wouldn't make sense. So, alright, dropped that value down. Let's try this again. 65 through 174, 180, and we're going to start 182. Let's see what happened here. Still got these extra pluses hanging off. Also, full on fucking numbers just cut off over here. $613. Are these the 600s? Yeah, 613 shouldn't even be in the fucking selection. Oh, but it was in it was in the big left to right group. So why did that get included in the command? And what confuses me more is why the fuck does it still work? It's one of those mixed emotion things where it's like the thing absolutely works and now I see an issue and I can't tell you why, and I don't quite feel like I did it right as a result. But that command should never have been able to happen. Nothing should have been terminating in a plus. So let's do this. As it's printing, let's put some feedback in there. Do I have a feedback command? I do. Cool. So let's see. Ugh. Alright, so we're going to comment this guy out for a second. Command, and then feedback command. Alright, just so we can see if that's actually what it passed to the MA command line, because it will change the final command if it thinks it sees something that doesn't work or that was a shortcut for a different word or whatever the case may be. So let's see if that's what's going on. And then group to make symmetrical, 180, we'll use 182 again. Cool. And now we should see. Cool. So that's indeed not what was provided. Is actually it's cutting off the commands from display. Also, I still cannot fucking understand how it's possible that all of these wrong fixtures are being grabbed and yet the symmetry is being maintained, unless I didn't go far enough into the group. It says those two are the same, which let's take a look at our layout here. Wings of 2, cool. I mean, it looks pretty symmetrical. I am seeing nothing that implies non-symmetry right now. So I cannot figure out what I possibly fucked up on this. That it both is giving the wrong command, but still working. Oh, fucker. Oh my god, I can't even open the right fucking window. I don't know what I'm looking for. MA, looking for the command line. Okay. There's a whole lot of I don't understand going on, including why the fuck are fixture numbers getting cut off? Only on certain command lines. If I drop the max down to 10, will it fix it? And how the fuck did 613 get added in there? Okay, let's do this. 613 through 615. Make sure through 615. We're going to store that here. Did any of you somehow... It is included. But why? I could have fucking sworn. Alright, well what's this then? It's that row. So why would it be... Like, there's like 250 fixtures in this thing, so if it worked on here, then I feel confident enough that it's going to continue working on other large rigs, but the command still isn't correct, which gives me just that little bit of doubt. Again, it just shouldn't fucking be working. I should be taking the victory where I've got it, but overwrite that group. Okay, so let's start from that. So group 165 through 174, and then group 180, storing at 182 again. Cool, created our group. Okay, so I see no mentions of, god damn it, there's 613 again. How? Did I... What the fuck did I overwrite then? Motherfucking goddamn. Okay, so I know I've got the X4 bars here. These are my instances that are just... let's leave this. Just to be clear, these are my instances 1 through 12. So the group that was before that, I believe, was the top row of Mythos. I can verify the group before that. Those columns, great, 170. Bottom row of Mythos, which means 171. Ended up being the X4 bars, which means that what I need to recreate is this, stored to 172. Sure, labeling groups would have been smart, but no. Alright, let's try this again. 165 through 174, 180, storing to 182. Alright. Then, can I please see no mention of above 612? Awesome. Okay, well we got rid of the bullshit fixtures at least. Now, I would love to figure out what the fuck is going on that I am missing commands only on certain fixtures. And what's more important, I guess, is this just a cosmetic thing? So, to check that, 601.12 was cut off. Oh, what is it, people? 601.12 is cut off, so I'm going to see if that fixture number is in our group. So let's see, 601.12, store here, cool, and now if I grab this, it is included. Okay, so the fixture is there, it's just for some reason checking in the command line, the command feedback is cutting it off. So I guess I'll make a note about that for ACT. It's not really a big bug, but it definitely could cause confusion in macros. Then again, I guess saying macro writing would involve commands that can fit on the screen. And now, just out of sheer experimentation, let's just change this number down to, we're going to do a maximum of 5 fixtures at a time. Oh hush. Alright. Just to see, also we'll see if this slows down the plugin any noticeable amount on a rig of this size. And alright, 165 through, nope, 174, and then 180, storing the 182. Didn't really slow it down anything I could tell. Let's see here. Did we have anything missing? Good God. Well, we sure did get plenty of extra crap in the command line. Everything seems pretty consistent, so I would guess that it really is just a matter of it cutting off displaying characters after a certain point, and that point appears to be fairly arbitrary, since it was not consistent up on this guy. Like it's getting cut off early here, but it's making it farther on this one, but still seem to have a fairly hard limit right at whatever this character count is. But I can't figure out why this one cuts off earlier than the rest. Whatever it is, it didn't crash the console, and that's what we care about. I'll take this thing up to, I don't know, 15. Trying to keep it big enough to not put a million lines of shit in the command line, and also, you know what, nobody cares about reading this fucking shit. Like, just keep it out of the way. I know it works, and also, I don't need you anymore. Let's just keep it in some version of the file. Alright, so I'm going to delete this, uncomment this, get rid of the comeback line, because we did that, and that was a really stupid place to have even put it. What are we doing here? So, I mean, the plugin is, I would say, done. I'm going to run it one more time, having changed that number again, just to make sure that it is indeed running the same. And I'll make a new group to compare them. So we are looking at 165 through 174. And then group to make symmetrical, 180, store it to, say, 195. Cool. And it is the exact same group. We have our confirmation, same fixture, same order. And if we, just for funsies, I never did clear out at the end of that apparently. It sure does appear that it is in asymmetrical order. Cool. Well, there, that part's handled. I'm sure there are plenty of other issues that can then result from the nastiness of using a wall selection for a position effect or something like that, but whatever. That wasn't the point of this. The point was to find a way to make large symmetrical orders easy to create, and we have accomplished that. So I am going to sign off here in just a moment, and I will get this sucker posted online. I don't know what I'm scrolling for at this point, just making sure I've got everything covered. We'll get this guy exported so it's reverse compatible to whatever MA version, and that'll be the end of it. So anybody who sat through this, I hope there was anything actually worth watching during it. Like I said, I didn't really have much of expectations, just figured, why the fuck not, if anybody's interested. So let me know if there was anything helpful, particularly not helpful, I don't know, that you would like to see on these in the future when I'm doing them. And that's it for this. So I am going to head off, and this will be posted on Facebook in about 10 minutes or so.